Good morning, Year 9. This is a presentation for Task 3 on the chapter Lifelong Physical Activity. Now, week 6, during your PDHPE lesson, your teacher will distribute a hard copy of this task, and you will also receive a copy via Google Classroom. The due date is the 5th of September at 9 AM in homeroom, so make sure you write that in your diary and you have your completed task for collection on this day during homeroom. Now remember, this is the last day that you can hand this task in. You can hand the task in prior to this day to your PDHPE teacher, and this will be the last day you can hand it in without losing any marks. Now the task is split into 3 parts. A, B and C, they each have a value of 10 marks each. Part A, Physical Activity Guidelines, Part B, Smart Goals, and Part C is an exposition, extended writing piece. All students are to hand in a copy of the task, pen to paper, hard copy only. If you have to hand it in via online submission, this needs to be arranged with your PDHPE teacher in advance, and it is only under certain circumstances that this will be allowed. But for the most part, no online submissions. Complete the task on the paper provided and hand that in on the day or before the 5th of September. Now moving on. Part A. It's understanding the Australian Physical Activity and Sedentary Behaviour Guidelines for adolescents. Now that's students aged between 13 and 17. By following this link, it will take you to this page here, which is a brochure that basically outlines the recommendations for physical activity and sedentary behaviour for adolescents. Now, the majority of this task is based on this brochure, so you'll need to refer to this brochure throughout the task. Question 1. A simple definition of physical activity and sedentary behaviour according to the pamphlet. Write your answer in this space here. Question 2. According to the guidelines, what are the 3 areas in our lives where we can benefit from being physically active and limiting sedentary behaviour? Your 3 points will go in the space provided here. Now you select one of those points and you discuss how it can be of benefit to you, providing examples to support your answer. Complete that in the space provided here. Now part 4. Be more active more often. This is a catchphrase from the guidelines. Now use the pie graph in this space here to illustrate this guideline. Provide a realistic example of what a typical day could look like for a Maris Cogra student. Now the graph needs to represent the minimum number of minutes the guidelines recommend, and the activities need to be specific and appropriate for a typical Maris Cogra student. My advice is to practice the pie graph on a scrap piece of paper. When you're happy with it, then complete the pie graph here. Part B, Smart Goals. Now complete the following acronym on goal settings. Each of these letters stands for something, and write down what each of these letters stands for in the space provided. Now, using the SMART goal setting principle, complete the following table. Once again, you need to refer to the brochure, and once you have read that information, you are to relate that to your SMART goal and link each of these letters to your SMART goal that you have on improving your physical activity levels in line with the pamphlet and the guidelines. Once you have completed that, you then outline 2 barriers to achieving that goal and 2 possible ways that you can overcome these barriers to achieving that goal. Moving on. Explain the impact your own personal technology use has on the balance between physical activity and sedentary behaviour. Now you are to suggest possible changes you can make to improve this balance. Now ensure your answer refers to the pamphlet from Part A. Now I've said this quite a bit and it appears a lot on the task. If you want to achieve the higher marks and get into the higher bands, you really need to refer to the information from the pamphlet. Otherwise, you will fall short. Part C. Now this is the extended response to the exposition. As a result of growing concerns regarding the reduction in physical activity levels in schools, the construction of a new physical activity resource has been approved. Now the school has proposed the following options. Option A, a 25-metre lap pool for the MCC swim squad. Part B, or option B, renovation of existing facilities including the top nets, the Maris Centre and the weights room. And option C, privatisation of the bottom flat area of Seaforth Park, converting it into a modified field, fencing it off and prohibiting public use, so it will only be used and there'll be a gate and it will be locked by Maris Cograt staff and students. And there will be a lease and a maintenance cost to be added to your school fees for all students. So the government or local council is going to charge us and we're going to have to pay to maintain that and all of the renovations for it. And obviously that cost will come out of your school fees. So you choose one of these options, the one that you think is the most viable. Now you write an exposition, an extended response. Now this is a one-sided argument to convince Mr. Reardon that your chosen facility should be built. A table here outlines the basic structure of an exposition. Now paragraph 1, and you'll use teal to present your paragraphs. This is where you will have your thesis and it's your point of view. You will identify which facility choice, or A, B or C, and what is the main idea of why you chose this option. The next 3 paragraphs are about supporting your thesis. So an example statement has been provided for you here, and you use this as a basis to develop your exposition. Your conclusion reinforces the thesis and the recommendations that you have. Now, we have provided you with 2 pages of writing space. That should be more than enough for you to answer part C and answer it well. Remember to use teal paragraphs. Now the marking criteria, always important to look at this marking criteria throughout the task and use it as a bit of a checklist to ensure that you set yourself up to get the best possible chance to achieving these top marks. Now if you have any further questions, you can ask your PDHPE teacher, and remember, don't leave the task till the last minute. Ensure that you have completed the task before the due date, and it is due on the 5th of September. Thank you, Year 9.